All right, let's see what we got here. Ray talking about trading. We watched a video on the after party last night, and Erad was talking about trading. Let's see what Ray has to say.
Hello, this is Daniel Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. Trading in 3.19 has become so much more interesting and much more profitable. Hand in hand with mining, the landscape has changed, with each planet and its moons having a particular mix of metals and minerals, and thus some very profitable trade routes being opened up, not simply between a planet with its moons, but also between a planet and other planets. This creates a purpose for the whole sea, which can't be landed loaded. But listening to some other content creators, particularly Eradicator, talk about long routes using barrel, I thought, yes, but with a short run, you can do more runs per hour. Somebody should compare the profitability per minute between going someplace close and going someplace far. And of course, by somebody, obviously I meant me. So I picked Tram and Myers Mining on Selling, mostly at random, but also because I wouldn't be duplicating Eradicator's content. So, looking at Tram and Myers, I saw that they were selling titanium, corundum, aluminum, and laranite. The first three were in huge supply and the laranite in limited supply. This fits with my personal observation that each planetary system has a dominant heavy metal, a dominant mineral, and a dominant light metal, along with trace materials. For the test, I bought just over 100 SCU of each. Now, I deliberately did not try to speedrun this. I behaved like a typical trader player would, poking around to see if there was anything interesting at the outpost, repairing and refueling on landing, ate, accidentally fell through the planet, you know, the usual. This, I felt, would make my results more generally useful, although less precisely repeatable.
And thank you, Hugh, for all those gifts,
almost
dude.
certainly,
You're
if
boss,
you tried,
man.
complete the trips faster than my numbers here. Which means that the first thing I found was that the difference in time between the near and far planets from Selin was not as different as I imagined, because a great deal of the time is spent getting in and out of your ship, particularly the C2, approaching, landing, various elevators, waiting, public transport, all that jazz. The quantum travel feels like such a big part of the time because, well, nothing's going on. I was also using a stock C2 because, again, just generally seeing what a trader would do. So let's get to Orison at just under 24 minutes kiosk to kiosk. And the profit on this partially filled mixed load stock.
Good question, James. Yeah, like I like to do the PvP, but I also do the space trucking from time to time if it matters. Like here's the thing I talked about last night at the after party, if you missed it, James, is like, I want this to be more integral. I want the commodities to actually go to a manufacturing node where real demand is actually coming out of the manufacturing node for the items to make items, for the commodities to make items. Then I feel like space trucking has a lot more meaning. Right now, I still feel like it's an A to B fetch quest, very similar to Elite Dangerous' experience that it gives you. So that type of space trucking, no. But if I'm space trucking and I know that there's a purpose to it, like on EVE Online, right? What was the Caldari? The Caldari freighter was a Charon. I rocked the Charon. I had the Obelisk, the Gallant Obelisk, and the contract system, absolutely beautiful. So I spent a lot of time there because I knew that people actually needed the Trit and the Mexilon and the Pyrite and all those commodities. They needed them to actually build the ships, and it felt purposeful. It felt meaningful. And that's the type of gameplay that I want to see from Cloud Imperium. I want to see that in the game, and I want Tony Z to come on and talk to us about what's happening in the economy right this very second, because the economic gameplay is very near and dear to my heart. It's the bedrock on how games are built, on how MMO games are built. The economy is so important. Economic gameplay, manufacturing, space trucking, all these things have to tie in. And yes, the PvP and the chaos has to come too. That is necessary for dynamic gameplay and to keep that demand price elevated, because you never know what's going to happen in space. So there's my answer for you, James. I hope it was detailed enough and went in depth for you. Thank you. Back to Ray.
C2 was quite handsome. For those of us used to margins in the teens, these are quite nice. Obviously, the Laranite was the most profitable, but bear in mind that you aren't going to be able to fill up a big ship entirely on Laranite any more in this release than you did before. The next closest landing zone is Lorville, which took about 7.5 minutes longer than Orison. Lorville has a much better price for titanium, but the price on corundum was actually slightly lower. And the prices for aluminum and laranite, while higher, were only slightly higher, and so the profit per minute actually lower. But still, that percent profit on the titanium I can only say wow at. Next further out is Area 18 at ArcCorp at about 4 minutes longer than Lorville and thus 11.5 minutes further than Orison. And the price for titanium was unchanged. Still impressive profit, but of course less profit per minute. The price for corundum, aluminum, and laranite were all slightly down from Lorville. And then at the farthest from the start is New Babbitt, an additional 4 minutes further out than Area 18, nearly 7 minutes further away than Lorville, and 15 1/3 minutes further away than Orison. And way out here, the titanium is at its highest level, almost a full 50% profit, but still when
And also, I'll say this, sorry to interrupt, Ray. I do that a lot with my internet father. I did that with my real dad. Bless his soul, miss him very much. But I used to do this to my dad, and it would aggravate the shit out of him. Also, what makes it feel more real, James? Like, I think Web3 gaming can make this feel a lot more real. And it's a very unpopular opinion, but it's my opinion. And usually my opinions are unpopular. What, Bebe? Yeah. And why it feels more real to me, not only to have the game mechanics support, these commodities going into actual manufactured goods, that's very important. But on the other side of the spectrum, talking about Web3 gaming, and that these numbers become much more real, that the numbers on the spreadsheet become much more real, and the decisions you make upon basing how you're going to ship around these items become much more real. A lot of people don't understand that. I think there's a big disconnect with people, and they don't understand that Web3 gaming for space truckers is going to be like a slice of heaven. Like they don't even know yet. They don't even know. They don't even know. For people that really love the space trucking and the trading, Web3 gaming is going to give this actual tangible value. These are digital assets in a game that you can sell for whatever coin it is associated with the game, and you take that coin and convert it into real life money. Now, I know some people, they go about that, but if you're a true economist, trader, space trucker, manufacturer, there's something really beautiful about that. You start to see the science in it. The numbers mean more, and you're like, wow, this actually has tangible effect on my own life. And that's weird, because then you're merging game with real life in a way that really has not been done before in gaming. Just my opinion, very unpopular.
Normalized to a price per minute, slightly behind the only 33% margin of Orison, and well behind the 48% margin of Lorville. So let's bring all this together as the profit per minute per SCU of the four commodities I found for sale at Tram and Myers. And there is no absolute pattern. But clearly the nearby locations are not to be counted out in favor of the higher prices found further away. But here I run into a different problem when actually trying to give you conclusions. And that is something called the observer effect. There is a principle in physics called the observer effect, which says that by measuring something, you change it. But even worse than the observer effect is the YouTube effect. Because you create a YouTube video saying, do this or do that, particularly if you combine it with a clickbait thumbnail, and some people are going to do this or that. You know that, and I know that, and I know that you know that.
And I knew you'd know I'd know you knew.
But I didn't. I only knew that you'd know that I knew.
Ah.
Did you know that?
Oh, snap. You did it.
Of course.
And thus, these big earn money fast videos tend to self-invalidate the very recommendations that they make.
I love Ray.
Ugh. It's a chloroform deploying portable...
We want Quantum, Starlet. We absolutely want to hear something from Tony about Quantum. Yes.
Ah, dang.
If for no other reason than by forcing CIG to nerf the values. The patch notes don't say whether these new prices are set in a table or by the operation of quanta, But even if they are contained in a static table, we still have our old nemesises.
We don't think it's in a static table anymore. We did have new information. Ash, our supermod, did say that they transported the data to the servers, which is interesting, which makes it a little bit more dynamic. So that is something that I think that it's good that we mentioned that. I don't know. I haven't confirmed it, but I will say this. Ash is super thorough. That's why he's my mod, and I believe what he says. So one thing that's interesting about that is you start to have to wonder, like, exactly how this is being computed. How is supply and demand being computed, right? But these are the things. This is another reason I want Tony C on, for God's sake. I want these explanations. This type of gameplay is very important. Some people go to sleep during this type of stuff, but this ties into like everything. It is the bedrock of a healthy game. Right. It could be, James. It could be.
What's the plural on that?
Nemesis.
It could. We don't know,
Whatever.
right? We don't know, and that's what I would love to hear Tony talk
supply
about.
at the source or the demand at the destination. So sure, you might be able to earn more by doing more trips, but if you wind up waiting for the supply or demand to regenerate,
right, James?
so you can fill your ship up
Feeling
again,
pretty good,
it
ain't
changes the cost per minute and makes you think
when
that
Ash
once
told me
you
that
finally
last night,
get
I was
the
like,
ship,
wow.
to get the most out of it, even if it means further away. And then there is the thing that we all know is waiting in the shadows, and that is the cargo loading timers and the manual loading of cargo. Those will rework the profit per minute economics entirely because it will take just as long to load up your ship if you're traveling a short distance as if you're going loading it up for a long distance. So really the only firm thing I can say is don't count out the short destinations in your planning.
Yeah.
Moreover, and this is something I've been saying for some time, we need better in-game tools for seeing real-time buy and sell prices as well as supply and demand across the map.
Yep,
because
the kiosk should show us a very similar spreadsheet to what we had in EVE Online. I know that Chris has said he doesn't want it to be like that. I understand that. However, for utility purpose, industrialists, I think that is pretty much a needed thing, especially if you're really into industry. Like you really need to see a map of the land. You really need to see, your buy prices and your sell prices and who's it coming from and where's it going and everything nice and neat at those kiosks. You need it. At the TDD, you need that. You need to see the connections. You need to see the connections start forming. I think a lot of traders would say that. My opinion.
All I've done in this one video is look at one set of commodities available at one outpost. Websites like Galog and SC Trading Tools have been trying to provide real-time price information, but it is a Herculean task. And the more dynamic the economy becomes, the less achievable it will be without tools in-engine.
Right.
I've been hoping that whatever they are doing with the reworked star map, that it has features for helping us do this.
Oh,
but
it's the Starlit Red Bear love affair
of that project.
in the chat.
Now for an update on our giveaways. First, we have the 10,000 subscriber. Thank you.
That was cool. I like that he did that. I like how he busted that down. I'm going to go back over that and just look into the numbers and see what exactly is the hot commodity right now and shipping times as well. So I'll bust back into that, Ray. That was an awesome video, dude. Keep it up, Internet Dad. You're doing a good job. Doing a good job.